Okay, this is the course overview for serial murder. So what we're going to do in this video is just to go over the basic layout of the course, the expectations, the assignments, how you get your points, the policies, that sort of thing. And hopefully you'll be watching this first thing. So right off the bat, you'll kind of know what the policies are because we don't want any surprises. We want you to know what the course is going to be like from the get-go, so smooth sailing from here forward. And again, I don't like there to be surprises. I like students to know uh, everything that's coming. So this should just take a few moments. Now, since we're in the middle of this pandemic, unfortunately still there, um, I'm not. The plan is for me not to have any office hours, physical office hours this semester. I'm doing a lot of work from home, but um, my goal is, and I usually do a pretty good job of answering emails promptly. Don't hesitate to email me with any sort of questions as a first step. If it's more complicated than that, if you've got big issues, then we could schedule a Zoom meeting and handle issues one-on-one that way. This course will be fully online with video recorded lectures, so we're not going to have any uh, classes, Zoom meetings with the whole class, that sort of thing. It's going to be completely all pre-recorded. But if you have questions, then we do one-on-one, where I'll get back to you hopefully very very quickly on emails, and I'm a good emailer. And even if you have quite a few questions, I'm good at emailing you answers, and then we go from there. We can do a Zoom meeting if we need to. So that's the plan that way. Uh, let's see. So I'm going to go over the syllabus here. You see the syllabus will be posted in Moodle. You could check on it for details, things that I don't cover today. Um, the textbook that's required for this course was written by Eric Hickey, who's an expert in serial killers out of California. And you can see here his book, Serial Murderers and Their Victims, 7th edition. By Cengage Learning. So you're going to need that textbook. You're going to need to read all the chapters. We basically just go in numerical order. Starting out with chapter 1. You want to read each one of those chapters. I'll show the schedule here in a moment down below about when you should have those chapters read. But it's roughly speaking about one chapter per week throughout the semester. A couple of chapters will take 2 weeks. But that's basically what the pace is. It's not. It's a fairly, as textbooks go, it's a fairly thin textbook, but it's pretty heavily packed with information. So I think you'll find there's plenty to study in there. Now, I won't go over all the course goals, objectives, and all of that. You can look at this more carefully if you'd like to on your own time. But just let me say that the overall, that the plan for this course, the goal, is to um, learn uh, about a lot of concepts, a lot of research, a lot of theories, as well as go over the details of a lot of specific cases of both serial killers and also mass murderers. So this is not purely a serial killer class. We also have uh, uh, less emphasis, but some emphasis on mass killers. Um, so, as a matter of fact, if you find that you're, especially interested in mass killers, I do offer a course. I think I'll be able to offer it occasionally, where we do look exclusively at mass murderers and also look at sort of connection with guns as well. Guns and mass murderers is the name of the course that I taught last spring. And that, watch out for that if you're really interested in this sort of thing, because I think I will offer that again soon. And part of the reason for that is that mass killers, mass shooters, are becoming sort of more front and center in the public's attention, more so than serial killers, which was more front and center of the public's attention, say, 1, 2, 3 decades ago. So that's the series, but we will talk a little bit about mass murderers in this class as well. Uh, so it's not like you won't get any of that. Uh, so that's going to be our overall, subject matter. Um, and my approach to how we learn about those things is through these readings. Obviously, you need to read all the chapters from the textbook here. I'm going to have a quiz every week on the chapter that you've just been reading. Um, there's going to, a week or two where the quizzes will be skipped until we finish the chapter the following week. But again, I'll show you the schedule here in a moment. But you're going to get quizzed, a quiz on every test. And so you need to know that chapter. But I'm going to have a video lecture that summarizes each chapter, that goes over the most important points as I see them, to help you weed through what's really most important to know for quizzes and what's less important. So you definitely want to watch those video lectures and pay close attention, take notes, because that's going to be a really important part of the course. And then as a supplement to that, we're also going to watch a lot of video documentaries because I like to have what I call a case study approach to studying crime, which is to look at high profile famous cases that we have a lot of information about and to study those individual cases in an in-depth way with the goal of trying to figure out why in the world these people commit these disturbing crimes and how do we prevent these kinds of crimes and criminals in the future. So we have an analytical part of the course where we study these individual cases and we generally rely on data from these video documentaries. Now, they have a lot of case studies in the textbook too, and you should read through those as well. But I've handpicked basically one per week, a case study, a documentary on a famous or semi-famous serial killer or mass murderer, and you need to watch whatever videos that I have, put up in Moodle and assigned for that week. Watch those through carefully, and what you need to be looking for are basic important facts of that case, of that person. Typically, when we're talking serial killers, we're usually talking about one killer, although there's team killers too. But anyway, usually the focus is on one person, so you want to pay attention to that person's background, their upbringing, their various characteristics and traits that you think help explain why in the world these people commit these serious crimes. Where does this come from? How do these criminal tendencies develop? And therefore, how do we prevent them? If we can identify what's causing it, then we can figure out ways to try to stop these serial killers in the future. So that's the way you need to watch these videos, is with an eye towards facts that lead to explanations. Don't just sit back and casually, watch a documentary like maybe you normally do. It's an analysis. We're trying to collect data or facts of the case and draw conclusions based logically on those facts. So it's an analytical exercise. Most weeks you'll do that, and then the way you get tested on that is that I'll have a couple of questions in the quiz about that video and about that particular case study. But then some weeks, my plan is 4 times during the semester, I'll assign a short little paper, analytical paper, that goes with you watching that documentary. And so you'll watch the documentary and just instead of just figuring out in your own mind what you think the explanation is for that criminal, this time when I make these paper assignments, you're going to write it down. And we'll do details on that later. But what you're going to do is you're in a short space, these are not long papers. You're going to tell me, what do you think the basic facts are of this particular killer that help explain his or her criminal behavior? What do you think, out of all the different things that are in this person's life, the different characteristics, traits that they have, compels them to commit these awful crimes? And you're going to write that down. It's perfectly fine that it's your own interpretation, your own analysis and opinion, not a problem. And then also, I like to see students, after they've given me an explanation, say, therefore, based on this explanation, here's how we try to prevent these crimes in the future. So an example would be if you conclude after watching, it's some famous high-profile case that maybe the kid, the individual when they were a kid was, maybe the victim of systematic child abuse, just as an example, sexual and physical and emotional abuse. And you think that that traumatized the individual and set them on a disturbing, unhealthy, abnormal trajectory towards extreme violence. So if child abuse was your bottom line and you think, I think that's really the key thing based on the facts of this case, well, then you would want to say, all right, the answer then is therefore we need to fight child abuse. We need to come up with ways to reduce the occurrence of children being abused and neglected. See, therefore, your conclusion flows logically from the facts of the case. That's what I'm looking for when I assign these papers. We'll get into the details of that more later. You can also see a little paragraph here, a short one where they talk about these papers. But that's going to be another way that you earn points in this course. I'll get to the exactly how many points we're talking about here in a moment. But before I get to that, let me say that you've got two sorts of professors. One who's willing to curve points, uh, test scores, etc., and other professors who don't. And my attitude on this is that I'm perfectly open to curving quiz scores, test scores. And this semester is going to be quizzes. I won't have tests. And also, papers, that sort of thing. But what I normally do, since people end up having a fairly solid, decent grade by the end of the semester, I usually like to decide about this curve thing at the end of the semester. And if the average for the entire course, for the whole class, is kind of low when we're all said and done, then I give everybody a little bit of a boost, so that I assume, my philosophy is I assume that the quizzes were a little too tough. I didn't mean to do that, but they end up being a little bit too tough, and the average ends up being a little low because of that. And so I set the bar a little too high, so I adjust by boosting people's scores a little bit. If the average for the course was, say, like a 75, or definitely like a 70, that's too low for me. That's half the class getting a C minus or less. I'm much more comfortable with about a B minus 80% average for the course. And if it's around there, I think it's fine. If it's much less than that, then I give people a little bit of boost. But I typically wait till the end to make that decision. So that's, long story short, yes, a curve if necessary, but the healthy attitude is to not plan on it, because most of the time in this course, people do well. People get into the serial killer topic and they study and they nail it on the quizzes, on the papers. So don't plan on uh, curves, because it's probably not going to be necessary. Also, don't plan on extra credit. Some semesters I'm able to offer extra credit. I'm happy to do it when I have time to process, to set up the extra credit opportunities and to process and grade everything. But that's very time consuming, and this class this semester is very large. So because of that, and due to other conditions like the pandemic and all that, I just think I'm not going to have the ability, not going to have the time, to be frank about it, to be able to offer extra credit points. So don't plan on those. I know some of you have taken courses from me before, and I've been able to offer that. This time around, I don't think it's going to be able to happen. So you've just got to focus on earning maximum points from the get-go, from the first quiz forward, doing the studying, doing the preparations, and getting the best possible grades you can along the way. If you do that, you'll be fine. So let's look specifically where you get your points from. You see here that the quizzes are worth one basically every week, with a couple of exceptions, 75% of your grade. 25% of the grade comes from these short papers that you'll do throughout the semester. And so for a total of 100%. So it is heavy on testing in this class. I've set this class up to be very basic and straightforward, simple. And that's good when you're online. You don't want too much complication, which can throw you off and you can miss things. This is pretty simple and straightforward. I hope it works out that way. But there's enough points from papers that you want to turn in solid, papers where you make a serious effort. I'm not a strict grader on papers. I tend to be pretty generous, to be honest. But if you don't do a serious job, or if you blow it off and you don't turn in a paper period, then you get a 0, and that is bad. So do not miss these papers. Even if you have to turn in late and take you lose your points due to it being late, still partial credit's better than nothing. So do not skip on these papers, and it actually can give a really 25% of your points can give a significant boost to your final grade, especially if you're a good writer and if you're a weak test taker. Papers are especially important. Now, I'll finish up this video lecture with just a quick look at the schedule. You'll see here that we've got here the schedule for everything, and this actually needs to be, some of this needs to be updated. So don't focus on the exact course schedule right here. It needs some tweaking. But the point I want to make here, so don't look at the details. When I post this in Moodle, you'll see the updated, corrected numbers. Don't look at that here. But what I wanted to stress is how you have about 1 chapter a week, and there's 12 chapters throughout the entire semester, and that works out to be a little bit less than once a week. Again, you'll see an updated schedule here when I post this in Moodle, so don't rely on the video lecture, because this isn't updated yet. This is showing exams and such, and we're not going to have exams. It's going to be basically 1 quiz a week. And the way it'll work on the quizzes is that the week will open up on Monday, and you'll watch the video lectures, watch the video documentary, the case study, and then I will open up the quiz on Wednesday of any given week, and you'll be free to take it whenever you're ready, starting on Wednesday through the Sunday night of that same week. So you've got Wednesday through Sunday to take it whenever it's convenient for you. But then you want to make sure and get that quiz completed by midnight, 11:59 p.m. on Sunday evening of that week, or you missed it. That's when the quiz closes. So you need to be on top of that. Basically 1 quiz per week, with a couple of exceptions, which you will see on the course schedule when I post that. Anyway, that's the way it works. Very simple, straightforward. Please email me if you have questions about that, if there's confusion, if I've missed something, forgotten something. And do not hesitate ever to email, or if you feel like you need to do a Zoom meeting, we can set that up. That's what I'm here for, is to help you get the best possible grade you can get out of this course, the best possible learning experience. Within the rules, of course, we've got to follow the rules. But that's what I'm here for, is to help. So don't hesitate. I think you'll find that this is an easy course to get into. I do warn you that it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people are fascinated by these horrible, horrible crimes and criminals. I mean, it is just, whatever you want to say about these killers and these crimes, it's not boring, right? But it isn't everybody's cup of tea. So I'm warning the sensitive folks up front that, there's some rough stuff in here. And I try to tone it down, and I don't go there when I don't have to, because I'm all about trying to understand. But I don't rub people's noses in this horrible stuff. So just be aware, though, that we have some very disturbing content in this course. So, if you're somebody who's really sensitive about these things, this course is an elective, so you really don't have to take it. But for those of you who are into this type of stuff, I think you'll find that it's pretty fascinating. Again, let me know if you have questions. We'll leave it right there for now.